Hello everyone, my name is Alisha Roy and the title of my presentation is The Role of Pressure Groups in Different Political Systems. So this presentation provides a comprehensive analysis of how interest groups function across the global political landscape. By comparing democratic, authoritarian and communist framework, we can see how the level of political liberty dictates the power and purpose of this organization. So in slide 2, we'll be talking about the introduction part. So basically, pressure groups are defined as organized bodies that attempt to influence government policy and legislation without seeking to hold direct political power themselves. The core thesis of this presentation is that the specific role, methods, and overall influence of these groups vary significantly, depending on whether they operate within a democratic, authoritarian, or communist framework. Now coming to slide 3 that explains pressure groups in democratic systems. So in democratic systems, pressure groups operate in an open and free environment characterized by political pluralism. Because the system encourages competition between different interests, these groups can freely utilize public-facing and institutional methods such as lobbying, media engagement, and public campaigns to sway policy. Common examples in these systems include trade unions, professional associations, and various non-governmental organizations, that is NGOs. Coming to slide 4 that talks about the functions in democracies. The primary function of pressure groups in a democracy is to provide a voice for specific citizen interest within the political arena. They go beyond simple representation by providing active political participation among the citizenry in the years between elections. Ultimately, they act as a critical mediatory link, facilitating communication between the general public and the government. Then slide 5 that talks about pressure groups in authoritarian system. So the landscape changes drastically in authoritarian systems where pressure groups are either highly restricted or directly controlled by the state. Independent groups that dare to oppose the regime are often suppressed, marginalized, or outright banned. Any groups permitted to exist in this environment usually do so for the express purpose of providing public support for existing government policies. Now coming to slide 6, that is functions in authoritarian systems. In these regimes, the primary function of a group is to mobilize public support for the ruling government rather than to challenge it. Consequently, these groups have a very restricted role in actual policy making or deliberation. Instead, they are frequently utilized as tools for state propaganda, helping the regime maintain a facade of broad public backing. Now coming to slide 7, that is pressure groups in communist systems. In communist systems, the concept of an independent group is non-existent. Instead, organizations are state-controlled and fully integrated into the official party structure. A clear example of this is seen in workers' unions. While they exist, they are controlled by the state party apparatus rather than functioning as independent units for collective bargaining. Then we have slide 8 which talks about functions in communist systems. The functional role of groups in communist systems is to act as a transmission belt carrying communist party policies downward to the people. They serve as mechanisms to ensure ideological compliance across the population. Unlike their democratic counterparts, these groups are strictly prohibited from challenging central authority or articulating interests that conflict with the party line. Then lastly, slide 9 talks about comparison and conclusion between these three systems. In summary, the nature of pressure groups is a reflection of the political system. Groups are independent, competitive, and influential. Also, groups are restricted, marginalized, and controlled. Then, groups are integrated into the state and party system. Thank you.